Okay, we are live, podcast 3, coming at you from the north of London.
It's a North London crew.
It's a North London ting, that old garage voice from the 90s.
That fake voice, bro.
It's not even real.
Where did it come from, though?
I don't know, like...
For the crew.
For the crew, everybody tuning in, for you.
Fuck off.
No, but seriously, it comes from, like, obviously Pirate Radio. Pirate Radio comes from South London in the 90s, and they were just... I don't know. It was obviously... It's a mix of, like, a London accent, a rude boy accent, and then it just comes to a radio voice. Don't you reckon, though?
That's fucking mental.
Where do you reckon it came from?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess it was like a London slang.
Do you remember? Did you listen to much? Like, you listened to a bit of Pirate Radio, not as much as me, I think.
Not as much. Sometimes on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Listen to it.
The jokes things was with, like, garage pirate radio stations. And, like, yeah, in the 90s, early 2000s, you'd have a mix, right? So you'd have like, I don't know. I remember this. Like, the DJs were proper chavs. No, but they were always like, all right, mate, how's it going?
Yeah.
And then obviously the MCs were always like, yes, bro, how's it going? Rude boy. And then I don't know. And then the accent.
Obviously, it was just an amalgamation of all that shit.
It's an amalgamation, but it was just... Now I look back, it's so jokes. And it was an era
that culture was... Yeah, that era was kind of amazing, wasn't it? It kind of... It was like it burned so brightly and then it just went and fizzled out.
Yeah, unless you were like a teenager in the 90s and early 2000s, you'd be like, what was that? It came and went. And it's just, I don't know, it fascinates me. You got like all the radio stations that popped up around, well, I don't know whether we're Clapham, Battersea, all those places.
Sorry, bro, I'm going to adjust your mic. Just put that a bit closer. Yeah, cool.
Around Clapham, Battersea, all those places, and they were like climbing tower blocks and spending probably hundreds of pounds on equipment for the passion, because they loved it. It's wicked. It was wicked, man.
Yeah, it's wicked. Pirate radio.
Yeah,
pirate because I guess you needed a license right back then.
Yeah, I mean, classic.
Yeah.
Everything's controlled, right? Everything's, got the eyes of the government on it, trying to make money and tax you. But these people wanted to get their
music out.
Yeah, it was fucking cool, man.
It was cool. Sometimes I used to listen to it. I used to have it on in
Delight FM,
Family House. Yeah,
Flex FM.
I remember listening to I think it was Decline Hyperactive.
I used
to do a set on a Sunday.
On a Sunday, Soul Solid Sundays, and they used to have the Nokias, all the 5110s and stuff, and it would be like the ringtones would be Soul Solid songs. I don't know, man. It was just.
Do you think So Solid were like influenced by Death Row? They were trying to like be like Death Row because they seemed to have a similar ethos and similar. I don't know.
Thug it.
Like weird thugs and stuff.
Yeah. And Mac, he had like the bowler hat and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you remember I did a music video for So Solid and you came along?
Yeah.
There was like
it was martial arts tricks. Chloe.
It was me, Chloe Bruce, and Miss Dynamite.
Yeah.
I can't remember the track that she did with them, but she had like a solo.
If I remember, 2001.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Romeo Dunn was there.
Yeah. And they all rolled up in the Audi TTs.
The Audi TTs. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, they were like the London's equivalent of Death Row. Getting in trouble, being idiots, basically. Yeah, man. But
the music was good though.
Yeah, music was good, and like they were killing it. Delight FM back in the day, when they came out, became like a rivalry between. Remember the Heartless Crew?
Yeah.
Heartless Crew, and then.
They didn't like each other.
Well, actually, I don't think they didn't care. I think they all got along, but I think that they're fans. Everyone loves rivalry. So like, you either like Heartless Crew or you were like So Solid. Like, you get
Fuck off.
No, seriously, it was jokes. It was jokes, man. I remember going to. Did you ever go to? Hang on, we went to Club Coliseum, right?
Once, yeah.
Club Coliseum in Vauxhall. I mean, that's long gone. I walked past. I was living around the corner from it last year, and that's long gone. It's high-rise flats.
Oh, really? It's completely finished.
Bro, it was probably long
I guess
gone.
It's
probably
prime
2005, 2006 probably. But I remember going, using your ID.
Really?
Nicking your ID.
Classic.
Going up there, my mate Joe Miglerine. Bruv, it like basically two white kids from the suburbs.
Yeah.
Getting in there. I mean, must have been 98% black. It was rowdy.
Yeah.
It was long before gentrification. Like it was just people would get shot outside.
There were shootings there many times.
All the time. Shooting, stabbings.
In fact, there was a guy we used to know who's a bouncer, and he said he got shot.
Rich's mate.
Yeah, he said he got shot outside Club Coliseum.
But he was wearing a bulletproof
vest. Yeah. And he said he got blasted by Was it a shotgun or something?
Fucking hell.
And got taken off his feet.
London at those times as well, man. Like, I mean, even now, like there's bad parts of every city, and even with gentrification, it's only a little part of the whole city. But
London back in the 80s and 90s, man.
Rough as fuck.
Did you ever hear those stories about like the martial arts fights back in London in the 80s?
I mean, you think you told me a few, but I was too young then. Like, but that was like what, Austin Go and that lot.
I think it was Austin Go. Austin Go had a huge schools. Well, basically
Was it in
school
China?
all across London.
Was it in Chinatown? The school?
He had a base, I think, in Chinatown, and then he was teaching all over Southeast London, maybe even into North London as well. But he was probably one of the most successful martial arts teachers at that time. And at that time, there was still the mentality, and think how mental this is, the mentality of schools challenging each other and trying to take like pupils and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I heard from other people as well. I heard another guy I used to know.
Who told you about it?
This other Wing Chun guy who I used to know. I did a TV show with him a long time ago. It's called Why. Really nice guy, and he studied, I think, under Austin Go and a few other people. But he told me that back in the 80s, everyone was like jostling for position. So like different schools would challenge each other, and they'd meet up in car parks to have huge fights.
But it must be 1-on-1. It wasn't like a football factory tear up.
I think it degenerated into so basically they would. It was almost the old school martial arts mentality of,
would they turn up
if I beat you, I'll take your students.
But would they turn up in their martial arts gear?
I don't know. What,
Obviously,
I'm
thinking of a Jet Li movie now, and they all turn up, and it's all
Fist
like,
of Legends.
Yeah, and they're all just.
The ethos was similar, but I think in practice it was a shit show. Like there was no. It was and it used to be that.
Why would you do car parks? Why wouldn't you
do?
do it in the school? Because it's going to be a shit show, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know, but apparently it used to be the ethos that the instructor would say. The instructors would never fight.
Yeah.
So they would say, you get through my top 3 or 4 guys, and
like
then you could get to
old
me.
School China.
Yeah, I know. In London in the 80s. It was coming off that chop socky era from Hong Kong.
We've got to make a documentary on that one day.
Yeah.
We've got to make a documentary on that. And
find people who are around at that time.
Find people around, interview them, kind of like make reenactments.
Yeah.
That would be fucking sick. That's
rough, man. London was rough during that time.
I remember, bruv. Well, us, we used to go to Chinatown, right?
Yeah.
A lot to, go to Austin Go shop, to go and buy like combat or get stuff. Remember we bought the stretching.
We bought the rack.
The rack. And
for those people who don't know about what a rack is in martial arts, it's basically this machine,
torture machine from the 1700s.
You sit in and then you wind it out, and it winds your legs apart gradually into box splits or center splits. Yeah, it was a torture instrument, but it's wicked. It got you
into box splits. Yeah. And I remember at that time, I mean, we're talking like mid 90s, and we'd go up to London, and where we grew up in the suburbs of Southwest, but we'd have to get the train to Waterloo. You have to go through like Rains Park, Wimbledon,
Clapham Junction,
Vauxhall, and like even now, like there's still most of it's council, and there's rough areas like everywhere, but back then you'd look off the train and you'd be like, "Fuck that!"
Yeah,
graffiti everywhere.
Yeah. And as like a 12-year-old kid, it would scare the hell out of you. You'd be like, Clapham Junction, that looks.
And then we'd sometimes walk around with mum and dad. We'd go to like Battersea Park, or we'd walk around South Bank, and I don't know, it just definitely was rougher.
For sure,
definitely, because obviously now you have all the, you have all places like Strada and all the places that moved in, and nothing's perfect, but it's much more gentrified. The pavements are all nice.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. All the restaurants out nowadays, back when we were kids, eating out, we rarely ate out, man.
No,
and there definitely wasn't chains of restaurants everywhere.
There wasn't chains everywhere.
Independent.
I mean, the chains were like McDonald's and Pizza Hut.
Yeah, that was it.
There wasn't like now where you can have like, they've kind of bridged the gap now from obviously kind of good food, like high, not obviously cordon bleu, but like higher standard food, but for like good prices and stuff. And that's obviously changed the areas. But I remember London in the 80s and 90s, and even we used to go to fight at those martial arts competitions. They were rough.
Oh, they were rough.
Remember the one in Liverpool when there was a massive tear up?
Well, we had to leave.
And no, the old bill were called and it was shut down.
Yeah, the whole thing was shut down. I remember Mum was there as one of the only tournaments that she actually came to,
Yeah,
and
she
then
didn't
she
like-
freaked out. And it
Well,
was
she didn't.
like-
She didn't like violence anyway. She probably attracted to it because she was
Yeah.
she was so anti it. She didn't like violence anyway, and that was a rarity.
Mm.
And it was in Liverpool, which is, I mean, quite rough in itself.
Well, I remember driving through there that time, and everywhere around there was like bloody hell. I mean, I was only a kid, but it looked like I wouldn't want
I
to
remember
get out
going through
of
the
car.
Wirral and then
Yeah.
the tunnel. It looked deprived.
Yeah.
And, that's not representative of all of Liverpool and the Merseyside, because obviously there's nice areas like everywhere, but it looked pretty pike. Like, no, I mean, it didn't at that time as well. I mean, a lot of it was because I think it was even more separated than now.
Yeah.
Now you've had a lot of white middle class move in, gentrification, like people want to live close to London or close to the city centre.
Yeah.
But back then it really was suburbs, which were more like, I'd say demographic was white middle class.
Yeah.
And as you got in, it was ethnic, it was rougher, it was tougher. You know what I mean? It was just, it definitely was a different city in that respect. I remember going on the top deck. I've got like a weird picture in my mind. It was like filmic. I think we were with Nan, and our grandmother lived in Southfield. So we spent a lot of time around southwest London.
Mm-hmm.
We got on the bus somewhere, maybe from Southfields into Central. But again, looking down, maybe going through Hammersmith and places like that. I remember when our auntie lived in Hammersmith.
Hammersmith, I remember back in the day.
Rough
Hammersmith.
AF. These places. And it was...
But London's changed so much, man. I remember talking to Nan before she passed, and sometimes I used to go over and spend the day with her, and we just used to chat for ages because she was so interesting. She used to tell me about coming over from Ireland and everything. But I remember talking to her about London, and she said, when I think back to when I first came to London, it's like I can't recognise it. It's like a different city to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, can you imagine when she came over? So she was born in 1931, is that right?
I think so,
Yeah, so it's 1931, she was 19, so you're talking 49 or 50, right?
Yeah.
I think she came over in 49. Not long after the war, like literally,
Yeah.
like what, we're talking 3 years after the war, 4 years after the war. It would be a different place.
Yeah.
I don't know if Fiona
completely
showed you the pictures of like her and stuff when she came over, but...
I couldn't recognise her. She had
Yeah.
long hair. Our grandmother had short hair basically from when we could remember.
Yeah. So
And looking at those old pictures, it was crazy.
it's crazy, yeah. And the black and white pictures, and London just... I mean, like anywhere, I guess, you can't recognise it because technology and the way the culture's changing, but different city then, and different city to how we knew it. Like you're born in 80. I'm 83, so... I've got memories of the 80s and obviously the 90s, definitely. That's when I was growing up and becoming a teenager and a young man. And now, compared to now, like...
Yeah, it changed again. It's always changing.
I'm hanging out with chicks who are like born in 94.
Oh, God.
So it's like...
Make you feel old.
Yeah, it makes me feel old. And like, for them, they must not know what happened in those eras and stuff. But
yeah,
it's interesting. It's really interesting. And especially because I've lived away from London now for 10 years. And to come back and see it, the last year...
Well, I remember when you came back in 2014, I think it was, or 2013, and then you were saying like, London's changed, man, since I left. There was like, I know it's crazy, but there's like hipsters everywhere. I guess, I don't know, it just had a different feel, right, at that time.
Different feel, more organised. I remember when I was still working up in town, I remember when I was doing jobs I didn't enjoy, apprenticeships or whatever, or even just temporary office jobs. I used to go up to Kensington and there'd be... Do you remember? Actually, the same train used to come here, Silverlink and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was all amalgamated into Overground.
Yeah.
And then things like... From when I left in 2006 to move to Asia. We went together, but when we came back and then I went again. It was different. Like, then when I came back in 2013, obviously I came back sporadically, but that's time I really noticed it because there was like... mini Sainsbury's everywhere, mini Tesco's everywhere. That wasn't about before.
No.
If anything, you had the big superstores, and then that was pretty much it. And then obviously the old Co-op or remember the old Happy Shopper. Remember those?
That's not about, surely.
I've seen where was I driving through? It was quite a deprived area. I saw one. Might have even been near. Wasn't the place on the way down to, kind of near Maida Vale, but it's quite chav around there.
Were you talking about Edgware Road? Or?
Not Edgware Road. I can't remember exactly. But, near Abbey Road.
Happy Shopper,
No,
Jesus.
but anyway, whatever. It's just like, do you remember that kind of, it was like that. And then to come back in 2006 and see like, these Tesco Express,
Yeah.
2013, 2014, and see Tesco Expresses everywhere, it just seemed like a different city, and I just didn't really recognise it. And since I've moved back, I love London, but I mean, it's changed a lot. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
cool.
my favourite city in the world.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really cool place. But it depends on where, I guess, not depends, this is all down to personal preference. Because we grew up south of the river,
Yeah.
and like especially around southwest London, I just associate that with London to me.
Really?
More
Well,
than...
You're not so au fait with the north, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even though I've lived up in the North London and stuff, like, just because I guess it's places you're familiar with,
Yeah.
people even like small things like seeing like the London Borough of Camden
Yeah.
on street signs, or London Borough of Brent or whatever. I'm used to seeing stuff like Wandsworth,
Yeah, sure.
Merton.
I guess I'm so used to it now because I've lived up here for
Yeah.
so long.
Yeah. So, I mean, but then you do adapt quickly. It's just your own area, and I'm sure people in the north would feel the same, or people in the south. Because
there's that big divide.
and it's not just that, though. Don't you think? Like, north is so different to south. South is so different to east.
Yeah, yeah.
East so
definitely.
different to west. There's a different feel in each part of London.
Yeah.
And that's been prevalent since the beginning. I mean, there was sayings back in, like, I think there was in some book I read it, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was like the poor man on the street, the poor man in Marylebone and Baker Street is a rich man in the east of the city.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think that was like from some old novelist or something, but it's true. Like
Really?
you
There's
can
always
feel-
that divide in cities, though, man. Like if you, for example, in Hong Kong, which is really small, expats that live on the island are like, I'm not going to Kowloon. I wouldn't go across. I'm like, it's 1 or 2 stops on the MTR and about 5 minutes.
They've got this weird thing, and I like Hong Kong. I like all of it.
Yeah.
And if I lived there, even when
Be
I'm there,
across all the time.
back
yeah.
and forth like a fiddler's elbow. I love Hong Kong. It's like one of my favourite cities. But yeah, there's a weird divide. And even though it literally not even a mile, probably the water.
It's so close.
It's just this mental barrier. And then I guess
It's like, oh no, I don't go over there.
the River Thames does that.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing in London. LA has the same thing. Like, everyone in LA seems to want to live kind of like Beverly Hills or West Hollywood. And then if you live by the beach, people are like, oh, that's really far away. But actually, it's not that far away. It's only like half an hour in the car if traffic is decent.
I don't understand that, because a lot of places around West Hollywood, anywhere off Hollywood Boulevard, okay, I'm not everywhere, but a lot of it is shitty.
It's rough, man.
Rough.
Yeah.
Pavements look black. They haven't been cleaned. I lived in LA in 2008 for like 2 months, or nearly 2 months. And it was just, I'd rather stay a bit further out.
Yeah.
Because you need a car in LA, right?
Well, that's the thing. You have to drive everywhere anyway.
You have to drive everywhere
Why not
anyway.
live somewhere that you really, really like?
That's why it's different to London, where you can live in the centre and be on foot everywhere.
Yeah.
LA's different. Sydney's different. Again, I'm being biased because we grew up here, but like I prefer somewhere which has that centre.
Me too.
And then spreads out.
Exactly.
Where LA is not like that. Sydney's weird. Sydney's got the centre here, and then the beaches are the suburbs.
Really?
Never
been to Australia before.
Yeah, no, Australia's really different to here. But then because it was started by British people, definitely like that British.
You've still got a crossover. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. But it's really different. I prefer the London setup.
Me
Even
too.
though
I like
it's
a city
big,
centre.
city centre, and it spreads out to different suburbs. Even though it's big, because you could be kind of where we grew up, which is kind of like the borders of Greater London.
Yeah.
And then you could be in. You ever been to the London Borough of Redbridge?
No.
Which is like literally the opposite side. It's like going into Essex, right?
Really?
So it's like an outer London borough on that side. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking 40 miles away.
Yeah, Jesus.
Still classed as Greater London,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Well, they had to put the green belt around London because it wouldn't stop growing.
do you know? Like, I don't know if you know, but in 1965. So before the 1965, it was just the borough. The city of Westminster
Yeah.
and the city of London.
Yeah, yeah. I saw old maps depicting it. Yeah.
That was it. And then in 1965, they created the outer London boroughs. And that the ones for us that we resonate with, or I feel more have an affinity with, are going to be Kingston, Richmond,
Yeah, yeah.
Merton, Sutton, Wandsworth. They were the ones, and that was all Surrey. So that's why you'll see like on postal codes and stuff like Richmond, Surrey, Kingston, Surrey,
Yeah,
Wimbledon,
yeah.
Surrey, because they're not technically, they're now London boroughs, but it kept pushing out. and then they had to put the green belt, because if not, London would have
just kept growing. Would have become the whole of England.
would become the whole of England, and that's what you've got to do with cities, because it just keeps pushing out. You've got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's pushed out even since we grew up.
Yeah.
So I mean, when we grew up in a place called Stoneleigh, where technically Stoneleigh lies in Surrey, but then the top part of it lies between two boroughs: London Borough of Sutton, London Borough of Kingston.
Yeah.
And
Well, we were classed as Zone 6, weren't we?
Zone 6.
Even though everyone was like, "Oh, you're out in the suburbs," it was still Zone 6.
Zone 6, which is normally the suburbs anyway,
Yeah.
wherever you are. But then now it's Zone 5.
Yeah.
And the next station, Your West, is Zone 6 now.
Really? I
Yeah.
didn't even know that.
You don't know that?
Really?
So Stoneleigh is now Zone 5. So even since we were kids, the zone has been pushed back out to Epsom. Ewell. And then now they want to push it out to Epsom. Well, people wanted to do it. They're campaigning for it. So that's happened. And then also Worcester Park, which is one stop down, was Zone 4.
Yeah.
So it shows you that, like, even in that, 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
it's already gone out. But I mean, they can't build anymore because I think there's like
Yeah, it's just a zone thing, isn't it?
It's a zone thing. Yeah, it's a zone thing.
Yeah, I remember seeing those old maps of London, and it was crazy. Like, it was like Westminster with the Houses of Parliament, and then basically everything else was just country around.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man.
Well, that's why Surrey Quays, right?
Yeah.
That's actually not its real name. It's called Surrey Dock, because it was the dock in Surrey, right?
Yeah.
Everything south of the river was Surrey to one side, and the other side was Kent. And then obviously it got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back to like where it is now. But that was Surrey Dock when the Docklands was still.
That's crazy.
And then if you ever go and walk around there, because I lived there for a bit last year, there's like Jamaica Dock, Norway Dock, Russia Dock. How crazy is that?
That's where all those shipments came in.
Yeah, and
really,
it's just like all the people living around there, like, that's why those neighborhoods are like, if you walk around Bermondsey, I'd say that's where the last pockets of like real white working classes.
Yeah.
Like the East End's pretty much gone now.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be the odd family here and there, but that's pretty much gone. But the South, because like people think of Cockneys being the East End, and I guess it is, but really.
But they all moved out to Essex, right?
Well, most of them moved out to Essex, yeah. But really, like the river just divides it. But Bermondsey and that lot, like southeast London, right?
Yeah.
So it's really just the river. So when you're in Bermondsey and you look across, you've got Wapping on the other side of the river, and that's the real East End. But really, it's just the river that divides it. And yeah, when you walk around those areas, again, they're gentrified, there's all new flats popping up, but there's still that big contingent. And being ignorant, I thought that had all been pushed out. I thought it all moved out to places like Margate or whatever. No, it's still really like white working class from there. It's really interesting. It's fascinating because you go around there and you hear that the real Cockney accent. Yeah. And I guess that's the last place in London where you could get that real, kind of white working class Cockney feel. And it's fascinating. You go past like a boozer there and there's guys in like, flat caps.
Really?
And, like proper mates speaking like that. And like, not like Mockneys who come from like our area, fake Cockney accents, but real like, South East London boozers. It's cool. It's really interesting. It's kind of something out of Snatch. Well, something you'd see in Snatch or something.
History is fascinating, man. The history of cities, the history of the way cultures develop and stuff. It's amazing. Imagine back in the day, man, when, there was no cities, it was just kind of townships and everything was rural. Think how crazy that time was. It was so dangerous. So you'd like live in a village or a little township. Even travelling to the next town, you could easily be killed along the road by robbers or bandits.
Well, that's why everyone had weapons, right?
Yeah.
So you had like swords and just like
that must have been so scary that time. It's like if your husband or father goes off, it's like 50-50 chance that they could come back or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's different times. I mean, we've got the fact that we live in a time where, okay, we don't live in a world with complete peace. Obviously, I don't think we ever will.
Yeah.
No, we won't. But
well, maybe eventually, but it'll
not
take
in our
time.
lifetime.
Not in our lifetime, yeah.
But I'm talking about, even if there is like no world wars, there's still going to be people who are like mugging and raping, killing people. But what I'm talking about in 2017, I think if you find yourself in a physical altercation, and I heard someone talk about this, I kind of agree, you've kind of fucked up somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you're in an area that you know is dodgy, but you're kind of like, you thought you'd walk through it anyway because, you're taking a shortcut, or there's a way to get out of it. Where, but at those times, there wasn't. There wasn't. Yeah. You could be literally just going from village to village to run your errands, and you could be like stopped by some bandits or whatever. But now, I mean, it's not impossible, but a lot of the time it could be avoided. Like, okay, that area is like a shit area after dark. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. You know, you don't have to engage. Like, yeah, you get idiots everywhere, but you know, you don't have to engage. So I'm just saying we're lucky that we live in the first world and it's so safe.
Oh, we're so lucky, man.
Compared to other places.
Jeff Thompson talks about that, doesn't he? He said the best self-defense is being aware and getting out of the situation before it actually happens.
Definitely. I agree with that. It's not about... And actually, when you're calling it... what do they call it? Self-defense.
Yeah.
You're already kind of... the words you're using are kind of already signifying that you've put yourself in danger.
Yeah.
Well, it should be self-protection.
Mm.
So, like, you think, okay, well, that area has a known high crime rate. I'm just not going to walk through there.
Yeah.
Even though it's faster to get home.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a cab because I know it's...
for sure.
Or I'm going to get on a train, or the tube's pulled in and there's a big gang of guys on it. I'm just going to wait for the next one.
Yeah.
So, seeing... like, most of the time, again, unless you're really gormless, unless you're not switched on, like, you know, most of the time you can see an event down the road.
Yeah.
Unless you've been ambushed and mugged. So it's not about who's the toughest guy in the street, because even the toughest guy in the street can be stabbed, can be outnumbered, can be hit when he's not looking. The guy who survives every altercation, who's the guy who sees it ahead of time and avoids it.
Gets out of the way,
and he talked about that as a bouncer. He said he'd see a fight an hour or 10 minutes or 5 minutes before they started, and he'd neutralise it.
So he'd start bubbling with people.
Well, not even that. He'd see a troublemaker come in and looking around, and he'd just go and chuck him out.
Yeah. Or
he'd see a guy being rowdy and know if that guy was allowed to stay in it. It's like letting bacteria into a petri dish or something. It's going to infect it. So
exactly.
you nip it in the bud. And he had this policy. Is it Watch My Back? It's one of those where he talks about they had a no gangster or no negative person policing the door.
Oh, they would see them in the queue and say, you're not coming in.
Not coming in, where a lot of doormans were pussies in the fact, when I say pussy, they didn't want to have confrontation with these local gangsters. So what they do is they'd be nice to them, and they think, if I'm nice to the guy, he's not going to cause trouble in my club, which never works out.
Yeah.
So they're like, then
they're in a shit show because they're in a massive fight and they've got to try and chuck them out.
And then the guy's going to come back and maybe shoot them.
Yeah.
Or get them done over. You know what I mean? Smash the car up or put bricks through their house, windows or whatever. So it's going to happen anyway.
Oh, what a scary profession.
Yeah, exactly. God. It's going to happen anyway. So you may as well nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good analogy for life, right? If you know that you've got to do something, go and fucking do it now.
Just do it straight away, yeah.
Whether it's work, whether it's a workout, because you know you're going to have to sort it out at some point, or it becomes a shit show.
And it usually becomes bigger as time goes on.
Exactly. So he's got one. Have you read the book, Watch My Back?
A long time ago.
Read it again, man. It's a fucking amazing read. One of them was, he said, he had quite a few fights at this point, and he'd made a name for himself.
Yeah.
But still, obviously, it doesn't matter how big your name is. I mean, he wasn't like a legend at this time, but, you know, people, there was other hard nuts in Coventry. I think that's where it was. And, you know, it was a summer's night. The queue to get into the club was going around the side of the building and stuff. Anyway, he spotted this guy who was a well-known chav, bare-knuckle boxer, street fighter. And he started shaking straight away because he knew that he had to stop him getting in the club. And, he thought, like, I can wait for him. It's going to take him 10 minutes to get down the queue because obviously the queue's so long. Or I can just go up to him now and say, listen, you're not going to get in, so there's no point. You may as well do one. But he knows what the guy's going to do.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, he said, you know, and this is one thing that I like about Jeff Thompson, like, you know, big guy. I think he was 17 stone at the time, must be well over 6 foot.
Yeah.
You know, built like a brick shit house, can fight anyone, but, you know, said, like, doesn't matter. You just got those butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah,
you think, like, I'm going to pull the trigger and it's not going to work. Like, the guy's just going to laugh at me and all this stuff. And he walked up to the guy and was like, listen, like, you know, you're not going to get in, mate. You've got a reputation. You've been in here fighting before, whatever. And the guy was like, well, fuck you then. Let's fucking have it. Yeah. And he was like, all right, if you want to do it, let's do it. But not front, not here. Let's go around the corner. So they walk around the corner. He's just like, oh, fuck. Like, this guy's a tough guy. He's got, like, a reputation around Coventry. I think if I remember correctly, he's like, you know, gold chains, gold teeth, or whatever. Just this character. There was, again, like something from Snatch or whatever. And they squared up, and he was just like, and I think he, I'm not sure even did the fence on him. I think he just, like, they were just standing there, and as I said, stood toe to toe. Thompson just said he just let the punch rip with every ounce of energy he's got. Like, you know, it was just all or nothing. Just cracked him straight on the jaw, knocked him straight out.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But I mean, how dramatic's that? And bruv, you're doing that 7, 8, 12 times a night.
It's like basically going to battle constantly.
That's going to battle. But I mean, fuck, you would find out if your martial arts works or not.
Yeah.
That's
the ultimate proving ground, right?
That's the ultimate proving ground. That's what I saw Joe Rogan talking about it. I mean, he talks about this all the time, but you can't bullshit in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You can bullshit in other martial arts. You can bullshit in Wing Chun. You can bullshit in...
You can bullshit in life as well.
Bullshit in life.
I've been doing that.
I've been doing that.
When you haven't been doing it.
You can't bullshit in jiu-jitsu. You'll get fucking choked out like a girl.
Yeah.
Like a child, basically.
Yeah.
By an adult within seconds. So you can't bullshit. You're thrown in the deep end. And that's very similar to, real life fighting. You can't use... Martial arts is great. And I'm a martial artist first and foremost. I always will be. But I'm not so stupid that I'm going to say, you know what I mean? I've done kung fu, or I've done some boxing, or I've done this, and that is it. Like, it is... my take on it would be, martial arts for discipline, for fitness, learn how to like strike hard, punch really hard, but then you need to apply the techniques like the fence,
exactly,
or like real like heavy hand punching, and not try and do any of the shit you've been learning in the dojo.
Well, it's just such a different experience when you're attacked on the street. We've had a few street fights, not many, but growing up we've had a few. And nothing prepares you for that emotion. Even, I mean, we competed in martial arts. I don't know how many tournaments we did growing up. It's
countless.
Countless. And that was so nerve-wracking. Before you go on to fight, basically you get up in the morning and you've got butterflies in your stomach, and they just get progressively worse until you arrive, you weigh in, you see who your opponents possibly are. And it's just horrible, man. Nerve-wracking.
Like eyeing up, like, oh,
yeah,
he looks about my age,
and then you
my
find
weight.
out, okay, yeah, he's in my category. And in martial arts tournaments in those days, it wasn't like the UFC where you'd have one fight a night. It was, and they weren't as hard as the UFC fights anyway. But there might be like 10 people in your category,
as many as till you got through,
and basically people keep going against each other and keep getting eliminated until you get to the final.
So you might have 2 fights that day. You might have 7.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, they weren't full contact fights. But there were people fighting full contact in that same way. But it wasn't like UFC. It wasn't mixed martial arts. But still, it was fucking nerve wracking, man.
So, and then that's a different beast when you get on the street. You've got someone screaming at you.
Yeah.
All sorts of obscenities.
And also, there's no referee. There's no safety net on the street.
Well, that's why going back to Jeff Thompson stuff, you never want to go to the floor. And this is what, again, like you have the jiu-jitsu guys, the ground guys, like it's all about the floor. No, it's not. Like like Jeff Thompson says, if we go there, we deal with it.
Yeah.
But that's the last place you want to be.
Last resort.
You want to run first off.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, when I was a teenager, I had a big ego. Well, it was actually probably more insecurity, but ego too, right? So someone said something, I want to protect my ego. That's ego protection.
Yeah.
That's not self-protection. Self-protection is where you're actually trying to protect the self. You don't care what people say, what they think of you. If there's some fucking idiot in your face, you get out of there, run. But, if you can't run, then you've actually got to face it. And you've got someone screaming at you, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And a lot of the time, it's just like, I'm going to throw a punch, I'm going to pull the trigger. And it's just not going to work.
That's what you think.
It's not going to work.
You feel like your arm is like so soft. When you have those dreams and you're trying to fight someone and you're like that. And you can't even punch them. That's what it feels like.
Exactly. And you just think you're going to hit them, and they're just going to be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's horrible. It's horrible. Like violence, really. Like it's funny because I like violence. I like MMA. I like watching boxing.
Yeah.
But I think street violence, and again, another Jeff Thompson, analogy and comment here that he says about this is like, he calls it the Jerry Springer effect.
Yeah.
And it's just, it builds like this, and suddenly, boom, it goes off. And they just, on Jerry Springer, you need like 200 kg guys to pull 2 girls apart.
Yeah, yeah.
So can you imagine like 2 80, 90 kg guys going at it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a shit show, man. It's never nice and clean. It's just fucking nails and biting, horrible, and people going everywhere. And
if I never got into another fight in the rest of my life, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah, and that's why I think having that mindset of self-protection is really important, because you don't have to, unless you're in that 0.01% chance where you're being ambushed, or maybe like, I don't know, robbed at gunpoint or something.
Yeah.
But if you use your noggin and you see, I'm not going to walk through there. hang on, there's a group of guys like they want aggro.
You can see, man, from a distance. You can see
see
the way guys are moving, the way they're looking around. There's a feeling you get,
and also
sense.
you have to put off an energy that you can handle yourself.
Yeah.
And people are like, what? You walk around like you want to fight? No, but there's a fine line. In different parts of London, I'll walk around differently how I'd walk around when I'm in Surrey.
Yeah.
And that means that you're giving off an air that you can handle yourself.
Yeah.
Because basically, people that want to start street fights, people that want to pick trouble, anyone, people that rob people, thugs that want to have fights in bars and whatever, they're looking for a soft target.
Of course, yeah.
No one picks a fight with someone they think they can't beat.
Exactly.
So if you show that you're not a soft target, you stand up straight, you've got good posture, you look straight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, obviously, body language is so important.
Yeah.
Words are nothing, really. You
Yeah,
know,
but body language is important. If you're giving off that air that I can see you, I can see what you're potentially doing, and if you come over here, it's not going to be good.
It's not going to be
deal
good.
For you. Yeah.
And again, most of these people are, I mean, it's kind of like semi-posturing, which they call it as well, in on the fence. But they're looking for a soft target.
Yeah.
And even on a subconscious level, if you show you're not a soft target, they'll think, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to go find a softer target. So that's more important than anything. Like, that's more important than any technique you could learn.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how hard you can hit. You could be the best kicker, puncher, grappler in the world. But if you haven't got that self-protection mindset where you're like, A, I can see a situation down the road and avoid it, or B, I'm going to posture in an intelligent way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to be like looking around and, oh my God, I'm in this dark area and there's loads of gangs. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to walk through with your chest up. You're not going to be obviously looking for aggro, because that could attract aggro. But you're just going to be like, I'm my own self-sovereign person.
Yeah.
And you'd be making a mistake if you tried to pick this as a soft target.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I know that
Yeah,
is
true, man.
is a better way to approach. If you're in an area that you're not familiar with, you feel a bit unsafe. Don't try and hide yourself and like try and bring your neck down and look like you're. I don't want anything, because that's you're going to stand like a Belisha beacon.
Yeah.
And then people are going to be like, oh, great, he's definitely he's not from around
Yeah,
here.
and also it never works when you think like, if I try and be as placid as possible, that person will leave me alone or something. That never works.
No, because they think, oh, great.
They think, if anything, that's attracting them more. It's like, oh, this person is a completely soft target.
Well, it's a red flag to a bull. We're looking for someone to pick on. We're looking for someone to mug.
Yeah.
We're looking for someone to give a kicking to, because we're fucking idiots. There you go.
Yeah.
They're not gonna imagine if like Mike Tyson. They're not gonna do that, are they?
Yeah.
If walking through there, or someone who's just come out of prison and is like literally like fucking frothing at the mouth. You know what I mean? Growling and all that. They're not gonna growling. They're not gonna be doing that. They're gonna be like, fuck that. They want soft targets because they're pussies and they're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Don't be a soft target. Just like have an air about yourself that whatever. You don't have to even acknowledge them. Yeah, you actually don't acknowledge them at all. You're on your mission. You're going about somewhere, but you're not walking like you're scared of your own shadow.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much. And I think that's quite an important lesson. Whenever I have clients, I like even though even with old face-to-face clients or clients I coach online, majority is health and fitness.
Yeah.
But I like the mental aspects as well.
Yeah, of course, man.
And
it helps you throughout the whole of life as well.
Exactly. There's lessons in there, and a lot of guys don't know how to defend themselves. And I still think it's an important facet to have.
I still think it's important, yeah.
If you're going to have kids, if you're going to have a wife, or even for yourself, it's good to know how to defend yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to even be a boxer or you have to be an MMA fighter. I mean the self-protection mindset.
Yeah.
Where you can see a situation and avoid it. You know the difference between ego protection and self-protection. And you just have a few things in your tool belt, like defense.
Yeah.
Like intelligent posturing, where you're not going to give off that kind of like, oh, I'm a scared like rabbit and I just want to get out of this area. That will do you more harm than good. So, and these are just skills you learn over time, because when we were younger, we were training martial arts.
We were training martial arts
all the time. And
yeah,
I just thought
it was
all
in a
about
very
kung fu.
structured way. Yeah.
Yeah. So you live and learn, right?
Yeah, and then when you get into street fights, it's just like a complete mess, basically.
The judo chop doesn't really work.
Fuck off.
Or the eagle claw under the armpit doesn't really do the job. So martial arts is good. I am slagging it off in a way, but I'm not, because
Well, it has its function and
has its
stuff.
function, and I think you should take what you can, like the Jeet Kune Do approach.
Yeah, definitely, and drop stuff that maybe doesn't work for you. Like, for example, there are people that are so invested in their belief system or their martial arts system that they see it being disproved time and time again, and they still don't accept it. They're still like, I don't know, Wing Chun is the best martial art in the world, and then you're
There's
like,
a weird.
but you can see on the internet how many Wing Chun practitioners have been beaten up by boxers or whatever, or mixed martial artists, and they're like, no, they just weren't practicing.
It depends on the practitioner,
What?
obviously.
That's mental.
But isn't there like a group of black guys and stuff in is it New York or Queens or something?
I think Rogan was talking about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're obsessed with old martial arts movies, and they believe in stuff like, I don't know, like crazy stuff, man. Like like Eagle Claw and Snake Technique.
Yeah, and that's
that
it.
works.
And like, they're again, it shows you that like the human race want to be led.
Yeah,
They want to have, there's a good paragraph in the Conversation with God book, and I'm paraphrasing, but like, tell me where to sit, tell me where to stand, tell me what to do, tell me when to salute. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that happens a lot. We like as a collective, a lot of time we want to be led.
Yeah,
And if someone tells us what to do, it's better than we have to figure out for ourselves.
yeah.
So
It's
master
more comfortable.
Master so and so has said, this is the way. I see it with diet and nutrition all the time.
And also, it's romantic as well.
Yeah.
Think of those old times, like these animal styles were developed through thousands of years, and they're like these invincible fighting styles. It's like such a nice story to believe in.
But here's the thing, though: those animal styles, those things were invented in a time and era where there was proper one-on-ones.
Yeah,
And it wasn't a complete shit show like they would meet. I mean, we talked about earlier when like it degraded into shit shows in the car parks, but it wasn't even like that. Like schools would meet up and martial arts was tied to honor,
yeah,
and they would fight, and like win or lose, that was it.
yeah.
And then
And there was like respect after the match, wasn't there?
Yeah, of
it was
course.
like a genuine. Let's have a match to see who's better.
But that's where the disconnect lies in modern day martial arts, and that's where Jeff Thompson and quite a few guys after have bridged the gap, and especially UFC and that stuff, where they, old school martial arts teaching honor, respect, bowing, and all that, and then to real world violence, which is nothing like that, has no crossover.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
I agree.
maybe I told you a few years ago, but I read a book and it was about like Genghis Khan and stuff. And
Yeah,
I mean, if you read some of his stuff, it's amazing, man. Like they conquered most of Asia, and
it's
they
incredible.
all the way down the Silk Road, all the way down to Turkey and what's not. But they tried to conquer Japan a few times, right?
Yeah.
And they sent a few envoys over, and at that time the language de facto, is that what you call it? Yeah, like everyone was using was Mandarin Chinese.
Oh, really?
In Asia at that time. So obviously they couldn't speak the same language, but Japan basically stole the Chinese
Characters.
so they could read it, obviously. And I think Genghis Khan and his lot obviously invaded China and stuff, so they'd had it too. So they sent a few letters over to Japan
Yeah.
saying basically we're running shit, so jump on board or we're going to come and take you over.
Yeah.
And every time they sent the envoy over with a letter, Japan would chop the head off of the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, but they would.
Yeah.
And he hit it 3 times, and they were really pissed off. So they invaded them. And obviously, I mean, I don't know, maybe they hyped up for the book, but what a majestic scene. Basically, it was like all the samurais were lining up on the coast. They were kind of like, because I think they were all like feudal Japan.
Yeah.
That's fascinating as well.
Well, mate, think about that history and the culture and how the different clans ruled it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, so it was just like, so that time, feudal Japan, and like they all united because I think they're all fighting to like kind of fight the Mongols, and I think they came to the beach and the Japanese all lined up ready to have one-on-one duels and whatever, and they just couldn't believe it because the Mongolians were like fucking animals. They were just going berserk.
Like fucking wild animals.
Obviously, they somehow united, and I thought, okay, we'll have to actually all go like animals as well and beat them and stuff. But
so who won? Who came out on top?
The Japanese, obviously.
Really?
They were never taken over.
Wow.
Yeah. Who was the swordsman? I know it. The Book of Five Rings and.
I know. Who you're talking- Masato, is it
Yeah,
Masato?
no,
No,
yeah, no, it's
I actually bought a DVD on him a couple of years
it's
ago.
so
It was his
interesting.
story.
He's killed. I mean, I don't know. Apparently, he had like 60 jewels or something.
Did he just travel around Japan?
Yeah,
Like, challenging people?
No, I'm gonna Google it now. Yeah, you got a DVD on it though.
I did. It wasn't very good, but it was like I saw the front cover, and it was like telling his life story, and I thought, oh, that looks sick. Like they've done like a reenactment.
It's so cool.
But they
man.
didn't do it very well. It was a bit cheap.
Was yeah, Miyamoto Musashi.
That's it. Yeah.
I knew this. I got the Book of Five Rings, and he born in 1584.
Apparently, he's
Died.
undefeated, right?
Yeah, well, if you defeated, you're dead.
Can you imagine those days? Yeah, like either you're dead or now you're missing an arm.
Well, apparently
that's it.
Let me have a look here.
One slice and that's it.
Well, he was amazing because he fought with two swords.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah, I
he killed
remember
his
hearing
first person. He was 11 and he killed a man
Wow.
in his first
Duel.
duel. I mean, it's just the Book of Five Rings. That's a good book. That's a good book.
One mistake and you're either dead or half your head's gone. Or
It's just a joke, isn't it? Traveling around Japan. I mean, one of them, he had to. I can't remember exactly. I need to reread the book again. It's so amazing, and some of the stories. But one of them, he'd found out about this swordsman who was like in this northern part of Japan, like on another island,
yeah.
and he travelled. I mean, bruv, even now. Even if we were if we were in Okinawa now and we had to get up to the northern Japan, even getting on trains and buses and trying to navigate through the internet would be a mission. Can you imagine?
Back in those days.
Let's just say he's in Tokyo or around, I don't know, Kyoto, and he gets on a horse. How the fuck?
But
would
like,
you know?
how many people has that gone through that story of there's a good swordsman there, and then that gets passed to something, and then
How would
it
you
gradually
know?
gets to Tokyo.
There wasn't even papers, never mind internet or anything.
It's mental.
So he gets on a horse. Apparently, how many fights did he have on the way to fight the guy? Do you know what I mean? He's not. He's of course going to run into people.
Yeah, of course. Well, back in those days, like we were talking about in England before, it's life or death every day.
Yeah. Oh, before I get to that story, another story. Actually, fuck it, I'll do this story first. So he goes all the way through Japan, wherever it was, gets a boat over, and it was like the middle of the night. And the story is like it's a full moon, and he gets to this island where this like hermit lived on a fucking hill. It's just crazy. Finds the guy, challenges him to a duel. Obviously has some epic fucking fight on a mountain.
Jesus Christ.
So cool.
That's fucking amazing. Man.
Kills him, obviously. I think that's one of the most interesting stories because of the sheer geographical ground that had to be covered. But I think what's kind of even more interesting and more fucking scary is in the book of Five Rings. He talks about when he goes to fight... like in those old schools where they have like the courtyard and stuff, like in a lot of the Jet Li and Bruce Lee movies or whatever. He goes to one of these schools in this part of Japan, challenges a master, kills him. The students go berserk. Obviously, we had to have the code of honor, I guess, but people are humans, so they all fucking grab weapons. And he gets chased into a rice field. And obviously he's got two swords, which normally a normal guy couldn't even carry one sword. But
the Japanese used to do it was two hands on one sword.
Was it
right?
the katana and stuff?
Yeah.
But apparently he ended up hiding in a rice field and ended up like killing 6 of them because they're like fucking ninjaing, and it's just amazing.
Jesus Christ!
Can you imagine
going back, being able to go back and watch some of those scenes
in a flooded rice paddy with like hair, all that fucking samurai hair tied up and just. Fucking amazing, man.
It's crazy.
Fucking amazing.
I mean, I'm sure it's been embellished slightly by the historians.
Don't ruin it.
Don't ruin the romanticism.
Yeah.
You'll basically become one of those Wing Chun guys who won't face the truth.
Soon I'm going to do ninjutsu and just like everything else is shit.
I'm going to be coming in. You're going to be like basically all in black, hiding in a corner with a grappling hook.
But the Book of Five Rings and all this stuff, I mean, it shows you like. We talk about like stuff that's hard in life, and we're like, "Fuck, we've got internet, and we've got like air travel."
Yeah, this is. I mean, come on, let's not beat around the bush. This is the best time to be alive. There's all romanticism about the past. Oh, England used to be great in that time, or that used to be good, or no, we're in the best. We're in the best time.
We live in a time where we can just get anything we want at the touch of a button. Amazon Echo.
Yeah, the information that's available for free mostly.
Yeah, you don't have to subscribe to what the media are saying. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't watch television anymore.
I rarely watch linear TV. It's done for me.
I want to listen to podcasts. I want to go on YouTube. I want to download documentaries that resonate with me. Like, you can pick all the information you consume. You can pick.
Exactly. It's like when you watch linear TV, or when you used to watch linear TV, especially with news broadcasts, it's like you just get force-fed information, and you just digest it and take it in as, oh yeah, that's how it is.
That's what they were doing. They were building a sea of drones.
Yeah. I mean, people believe, like, I know we talked about this before, but you just unquestioningly believe everything.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like, you know, don't
and
take
I used to do
anything...
that. I'm not slagging everyone off. I used to do that as a teenager into my 20s. I'd watch something on the news and I'd be like, that's obviously how it is. That's exactly how it happened.
How would you know? Yeah, exactly. How would you know?
Well, what about, okay, take this for an example. Everybody says, oh, well, this is crazy, conspiracy theories and blah, blah, blah. But here's an example. So I can't remember what the year was, but in the last, 5 years, Bangkok has had a lot of
coups
and political unrest and all this stuff. Yeah. And Matt lived in Bangkok, so he saw all of it. On the news, if you were to watch the news, it looked like Bangkok was turning into a war zone. There were, like protests everywhere, gunshots everywhere, and all this stuff. But Matt was living there. How was it when you were living there?
Well, that's the thing. At the time, so we're talking like 2010 now. It got really bad, 2009, 2010, so like 7 years ago. People were messaging me on Facebook. I was getting emailed, "You're okay?" Like,
get out of there.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
It was contained to like half a square mile, which was sectioned off on the other side of town. But obviously, the news sells because it's sensational. So they make a story sensationalized. They film it from different angles. They put a helicopter over top. They show fucking smoke bombs going off.
Didn't you see like 2 protests or something?
I saw a few people march.
A few people marching with placards. That's it.
Through Sukhumvit, which is the main street, but it never really went there where all the expats are living, and that's.
But that's not exciting news story. It's not exciting to say 90% of the city is completely normal and there's 10% that there's some unrest. No, let's focus entirely on the 10%.
Let's get a journalist with a bulletproof vest on.
Fuck off.
No, seriously, that's all it was. Next to a Thai army guy with an M16. Trailing on a few protesters. Here's the thing, obviously then I was still like, what the fuck? That's when my paradigm started to shift.
Yeah.
I think that's when I started to see that they're not telling the truth. They're saying what they want to say.
How engineered it is. It's partial truth. But what's going to sell the most? Remember, it's like they are running a show, right? What happens if they don't get any viewers to their show? It gets cancelled. It goes off the air.
Yeah.
So you must get people's attention and hold people's attention. And what's the best way to do that? Show them something horrific or fearful, because they will be glued to the screen. And that's it. If you've got 24-hour news, you are going to have to fill that with a hell of a lot of content.
Yeah. So we're basically going to, even if we have to manufacture it, if we have to
massage it,
like shoot it from different angles. And that's when I thought they're not telling the truth. And, obviously my paradigms have been ripped wide open and apart, and I believe completely different stuff now. But, a lot of the time we say, for example, a lot of terrorist attacks in London recently, and I see people on my my Facebook feed and other places like, Muslims need to be like kicked out and stuff. And you're just consuming BBC News, CNN, and you're believing it. We don't even know who's behind what. We don't know who's behind what. And listen, unless you are actually part of the crew that planted the bombs or carried out the attacks, we don't know who's behind who, right?
Yeah.
So it could be terrorists. It could be false flag operations, which are obviously the government doing themselves to whip people up to a frenzy. It is kind of coincidental that, as elections are all kicking off, and we need, one of the candidates is very pro-war, one of the candidates is very anti-war, we're having all this disruption. Who knows? But to say because you watch BBC, I think is ignorant in my eyes. And in 20, 30, 40 years, I don't think anyone can say that, right? Because the amount of information that be out there, there's still that kind of demographic that's left over from the older era.
Yeah, that enjoy to digest content in that way.
Read the Daily Mail and believe it as gospel.
Yeah.
And I think that comes back to other stuff that we've touched on. Don't believe anything as gospel. You know, if you see an article which our sister Fiona sent us me the other day, and it said, you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. If you don't eat breakfast, you know, it's been shown in studies that you will gain weight because you'll overeat later in the day.
Yeah.
And then at the top, in very, very fine print, it's like sponsored by the breakfast company. Obviously, it's within their interest to make people eat breakfast because, you know what I mean? So, or you know, dairy's the best protein source, sponsored by Danone.
I know. I mean, apparently, I heard that one, I think it was some woman on the FDA that was a staunch advocate of having dairy for calcium and stuff like that, was on the board or had some affiliation to Danone or Nestle or something. It's like, how can you? And that's another thing as well, man. Like, people, I feel like in our society nowadays, there's like a thing about science where all you have to do is mention science, or there was a scientific study, and everyone's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
Like, nobody questions. Oh, really? Who did the study?
Who did the study?
Who sponsored it? Because science is really expensive. So who sponsored the study? Did Nestle sponsor the study on sugar?
Yeah.
Do you think they have some sort of vested interest? So who did it? You know, what was the experiment to start with? How wide was the experiment? Who sponsored it? What were the motives of the
How many
scientists?
subjects were there?
Exactly.
Like
I'm
you-
not anti-science. I'm for science, but let's question it before we just take it as
independent, neutral scientific research, not a chocolate company sponsoring how chocolate makes you lose weight over time.
gospel. Exactly.
Not a dairy company sponsoring how yogurt is the best form of protein. So, you know, a lot of the time, that's why I always say to everyone, if you do see something, then research who did it, or research who's behind it, who's trying to sell something off the back end.
Exactly.
And I'm guilty of it. I was guilty of it before. You know, it says low carb is the best way to lose fat.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Obviously, people are trying to sell supplements that are going to, you know, replace the carbs or whatever, like ketones or whatever. You know,
What are the motives
you have all these
of
things.
the people doing it?
I think it's funny about the sugar one. The sugar one's a real hot topic at the moment. I mean, everywhere you turn, sugar's getting slagged off. It's so bad. And if you actually asked anyone, where have you got your stuff from? What they've probably seen is a fucking meme
Yeah.
of someone saying sugar's as addictive as cocaine.
Yeah.
Where's the evidence for that? If you're a sugar addict and I locked you in a room with a bag of sugar, could you not contain yourself? You'd have to eat it. Because if you're a cocaine addict and I put you in a room with a gram of cocaine on the table, you'd fucking do it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
If you're a sugar addict and there was a table and a bowl of sugar and a spoon, would you tuck into it? No, because no one's actually a sugar addict. They just like the taste of it,
Yeah.
right? And it's very energy dense. What does that mean? It comes with loads of fat as well. It comes with loads of calories. So you're going to consume more because it's fucking tasty. And then people they've like, you know, maybe the Daily Mail's done an article where there's like two brain scans next to each other. And it's like
Yeah.
this is the brain scan of a cocaine addict and this is the brain scan of like a sugar addict, and they're the same, or the sugar's even worse. No one knows. They've just seen these bullshit posts in the
one knows.
Huffington Post or on someone's blog post. That's not neutral scientific research, and you don't even know it. So stop stating that sugar's addictive.
Yeah, I think if you're going to cite science to someone, you better know who did the study, and you better know about the study.
Yeah.
You can't just say, "Oh, there's a study that was done." You know, that's not good enough. It's like you need to know all the facts to know whether that study was effectively done or not.
Do you know who Mark Sisson is?
Mark Sisson, yeah,
Yeah.
the low carb guy, right?
He's like primal. I don't know actually what his thing is. I think it's primal paleo low carb.
I don't know. He's
He was
selling
on-
supplements. That's I know.
He's selling supplements. He was on Joe Rogan recently.
Yeah.
And even the way Joe Rogan was asking questions, man, it was like, it wasn't even like he was asking like, you know, what's your opinion on this? Joe Rogan was asking, so is it okay to eat carbs? And the guy was like, well, it depends. And Joe was, wow, like he was like having his mind blown open.
But Joe Rogan is like, he's like massive into low carb, so that's like
I guess
he's already sold on it.
yeah, he's
you know
already
what I mean?
sold. It's vibrating with his vibration. He's vibrating with his wavelength. But still, like, he was like, what about, like, Joe was like, what about bananas? Are they okay? He's like, well, you know, maybe not, you know, like, you know, it depends on the time of the day. If you've had a really hard workout, then maybe it's okay to have a banana. Yeah, but, You know, I only used to advocate some carbs if you have to replace glycogen, but you don't really even need to do that. Like, if you're going to have carbs, maybe have 150 grams of sweet potato, make sure it's a low glycemic index carb. I'm like, for fuck's sake. And there's people just fucking lapping it up, thinking like, this guy's talking the truth. Sugar equals fat storage. Sugar does not equal fat storage. Carbs do not equal fat storage. Overeating consistently, stuffing your fucking face equals fat storage.
Yeah, I mean the whole demonization of carbs and all of that stuff. I mean, I've tried it myself, and I know that's not the case. It is whether you're in a calorie deficit or calorie surplus is going to be the major thing. I mean, the way I look at sugar is, I think some sugar is I think it's fine. It's not going to do you any harm.
A few pieces of fruit a day in a balanced diet.
Fruit is different as well, because fruit, I'm talking about unprocessed fruit, not smoothies. Not if you just eat fruit. Remember, that's locked in a fibrous matrix. So that's completely different to having like table sugar.
No, but I'm saying that even like people avoid it because of fructose and stuff, right? Or maltose.
Yeah, but I mean that's not so much fish. I'm talking about refined sugar, and the way I look at it is a bit of refined sugar is okay. For me, I try not to go overboard with it, and here's my view on it. Usually in nature, you're not going to get that higher concentration of sugar in that form, so I don't want to go like overboard with it. And secondly, for weight loss, I don't, as long as you hit your macros and your calories, I think it's fine. But I don't know what the effect.
Yeah, but Jay, the way you're speaking at the moment is someone who knows about stuff. We're talking about like the difference between fructose and maltose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And refined sugar. And how the sugar comes under the carbohydrate umbrella. Most people don't know about this. Yeah. They just think sugar's sugar, right? Yeah. So if they're trying to avoid a banana and they're trying to avoid a chocolate bar and they're like sugar is sugar to them.
Yeah.
There's not different types of it. They don't care about they don't even know about the fibrous matrix of fruit. And it's become like, don't eat fruit. Fucking hell, that's sugar. Don't eat that. It's like, hang on. There's so many different types of sugar. Yeah. Number one, obviously, unless you're a complete thicko, you know that don't eat loads of refined sugary products because it's not going to be good for you, but you still can eat a bit and get away with it. And also, like, just use your brain and stop listening to one guy say something and then repeating it. So I agree with what you're saying, but you're coming from someone who cares about health and nutrition, cares about their body, has done their research, knows there's different types of sugar, knows not to go overboard. People, because they like to be led, they're hearing one guy say sugar's bad, or they're watching Clean Eating Ella or whoever the fuck is saying it, you know what I mean? Yeah. The Hemsley sisters, Joe Wicks, the body coach, and they're all, no, that's it. Because I guess in one way they want to be led. It's good for them. I don't have to make any decisions anymore. Yeah. But here's the thing, they can't fucking stick to it.
Well, you can't stick to it, and that's the thing. Like even Joe Rogan, who said he's like obsessed with talking about no sugar, no carbs.
He has desserts.
He's like, oh, but I do like 80-20. That's exactly what tracking macros is. You track it and factor a little bit in. It's like, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, they say that. It's like, oh, I'm low carb. Really? How long have you been doing that for? Oh, a week.
Their voice goes very quiet.
Yeah,
you heard that.
And then you see them. I saw a guy in America recently. It's like, oh, he said, I'm going low carb and blah, blah, blah. But then basically I went low carb. I was doing really well for 10 days and I was looking really good. And like I had a bite of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I just lost control. I had like 3 tubs of ice cream. I just chocolate. I went mental. And now I'm a mess. That is
who's
textbook.
That?
Is a guy in LA. That is textbook what people do. They're literally, by the 10th day or by the 7th day, they are by their fingernails like, Jesus Christ, I'm trying to do it.
That's what I'm trying to do with my company, right? Like my coaching company, Macro Lean. I want people to understand, like, healthy eating is different to how you think it is.
Yeah.
The majority of people think healthy eating is stuff that they fucking seen on someone's Instagram. It's all raw. I'm going to have courgette.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this. If you can do that and you enjoy it, then fucking kudos to you. But majority of people can't do it because guess what? They've had a taste of chocolate before. They've had a bit of pizza. They've had a bit of this. And there's nothing wrong with these other foods if you factor into a balanced lifestyle. Yeah. Now, if you need me to tell you to eat your greens and vegetables, drink lots of water, and mainly eat whole foods, you need to go back to school.
Yeah.
But also, stop like trying to avoid chocolate and pizza, because you can't anyway. You end up
Yeah.
binging on it like you just said and hating
It's
yourself.
impossible.
Why not?
It is impossible.
It's impossible. Why not try and eat the majority of the time from whole foods? I don't want to call them clean foods because that's a
Yeah.
bullshit name made up by people. What is a clean food? Who defines it? So a whole food, a whole natural food, and then factor in some foods you enjoy. For me, I've got a bit of a sweet tooth, so it'd be chocolate sometimes.
Yeah.
It would be the odd pizza, the odd ice cream. And then you've got sustainability. Then you can, and that's the flexible dieting approach.
Yeah. No,
Am
agree
I
with that.
biased because I coach people on it? Yeah, probably. But guess what? I've tried paleo. I've tried low carb. I've tried low fat.
Yeah.
I've tried, eating just a vegetarian diet. And I've seen that when you're not tracking your amount of food and you don't know really, the food sources are relevant.
Yeah.
Paleo you can get fat from. Vegan you can get fat
Everything
from.
you can get fat from. And here's the thing that I see so many times, man. People are lumping healthy foods and looking like foods to make you look good into the same thing. There needs to be a separation. So people think, like you say, it's the food source. So avocados are healthy. Now, listen, avocados have a lot of vitamins and minerals and as say like fats that may be good for your heart. That's you're talking about health. You're not talking about weight loss. There's two different things going on here. So if you ate that might give you some nutrients that your body needs to keep you healthy, free from illness. But it's going to make you store fat because it's so calorie dense, of course, if you eat it in excess. So there needs to be a separation between foods that are going to stop you from getting ill, keeping you free from disease, free from illness, and foods that are going to give you optimal body composition.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you just say, oh, these foods are healthy, then people just go and smash the healthy foods and they're like, how can this be? I've been eating these healthy foods and I look like shit.
And remember, when they lose body fat, even eating junk foods, which has been proven before, with the Twinkie diet and Twinkie experiment, even though like, oh shit, I've lost body weight, so calories matter, but all my health markers must be fucked up.
Yeah.
No, blood pressure's down, fasting blood sugar's down, C-reactive proteins down.
Yeah.
Why? Why is it down? But I lost food on really, I lost weight on really shit food. But even though I was in a calorie deficit, even though that's not optimal, obviously having high body fat percentage, being obese, having a BMI which isn't in a good place, it goes hand in hand, indicative of all those things like high blood pressure, stroke, cancer, diabetes. You know what I mean? Thyroid problems. So the common denominator is carrying too much body fat. So am I saying you have to go in a calorie deficit with loads of junk food? No. But go into a calorie deficit with whole foods, some junk foods you can sustain it, drop body fat, all your health markers rise.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
I mean,
Simple
look,
as
put
that.
it this way. Probably the ideal way to get your perfect body composition is to hit your calories and all your macros with 100% clean whole foods. But no one can do that forever. So the second best way would be to eat 80% of the whole foods and 20% factor in foods that you love, foods that you enjoy, and then you can sustain it for the rest of your life, basically.
I completely agree. Like people say like meal plans, like I fucking hate meal plans, but like, someone was like, our meal plan's better. If you could calculate your macros in a calorie deficit and package that food all up for the week and actually stick to it, most people can't, but if you could, you'd get the same results if you had the same amount of calories and macros from whatever foods, eating foods on the fly, or stopping by, picking up a sandwich in like Tesco's that you could like scan it or whatever on the barcode. But yeah, you might be able to pack some more micronutrients in because you have the salads and stuff, but it's going to make no difference to body composition.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking rigid. Remember, think about
so rigid. Even if you had a chef, say for example, you had a chef.
You're rich enough to have a chef,
and they prepared all of your meals in advance for you. That means you can never be spontaneous and say, "Oh, I just fancy this now."
Yeah.
No, you have to eat the allotted meal.
Yeah.
And that's even an amazing scenario where you have staff to cook everything you want. You still don't have the flexibility to sometimes go out, say, I fancy a pizza tonight, or I fancy some ice cream.
That's why
whatever.
people can't do it. That's why I think meal plans make you fat, because no one can stick to it.
It's the rebound effect, isn't it?
It's the rebound effect. Think of any area of your life. Do you want to be in a relationship where you have no flexibility? You can't
Yeah.
even go out and you're like your partner. Do you want to be in a job where you don't have any flexibility and you have to like work like 15-hour days and you can't do anything? You know, you flexibility and sustainability go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And with diet's the same. Flexible diet, from all the diets I've tried, I've been obsessed with health and nutrition and fitness since I was a kid because of martial arts and then weight training and stuff. And flexible dieting makes sense, and you can sustain it over a long period.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, that's success. Success isn't doing maybe, I mean, who's got, if you can do it, but maybe people can grind it out for 12 weeks and get, you know, a better looking bod. But then what you can do after that, you can be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to relax now and go on holiday and go to Ibiza. It's a shit show, man. It's a shit show.
I want to be in shape. I want to be in shape all year round for the rest of my life. That would be my ideal. So what's the best way to get there? What's the easiest method to get there? You need sustainability. It's not about looking back, you know, 4 years ago, fucking hell, I was in shape then. I absolutely obliterated that meal plan for 12 weeks and I got in really good shape. But now I look like shit because I couldn't maintain it.
I'm with
and
you.
ended up
I'm
feeling
with
like
you.
shit.
I want to walk around lean with visible abs. You know, you're not always not going to be the same body fat percentage. You know, be ups and downs.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way, whatever. But on the whole, I want to walk around lean. When I feel lean, I feel better. Like I move better in the gym. I sleep better. I feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Like all these things work together in a synergistic kind of process. And I feel and really me feeling better is me feeling good is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So I know that egotistically and vanity reasons, I'm not going to feel good if I look at myself and I look, you know, not as healthy as I could, not lean as I could. And obviously for my physical body, as I get older, I think a lot of people say, oh, I'm older, I'm past 30, the belly's coming, and that's what it is.
I've heard that so many times growing up. Wait till you get to 30. Wait till you get to 35. I feel no different to when I was 25.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel no different to when I was 20. And I genuinely mean that. I my joints are not creaking, my muscles not aching. I don't get up in the morning and go, oh, fucking hell,
Yeah.
I'm really feeling my age. No, nothing. That's all belief systems that society tells you. And remember, those are belief systems that are people who, A, haven't exercised consistently, B, smoke, C, drink, D, eating a shit diet. You know, there's a whole multitude of factors. And they have that mental programming that I'm old now, I'm over the hill, I'm not a young guy anymore. And of course, the mind is so powerful. If you believe that, it will start to break down and show you evidence of that. Plus, you're doing all the other life factors that are smashing up your machine. Remember, we're in a physical vehicle. This is a vehicle for our consciousness. So, if you don't treat the vehicle well, it will break down quicker. That's just simple as that.
Yeah, I think that, I don't want to live like, just a monk who just gives attention to the mental aspects.
Yeah.
And I don't want to live, just like someone who's obsessed with the body and stuff.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a good balance.
Balance.
You need to be able to manage your stress properly. You need to be eating the right amount of foods and healthy foods, like, whole natural foods, drinking lots of water, getting lots of sleep, moving. Well, like, we're not the same. We don't have the same activities we did as our ancestors because obviously cars, offices, we're sitting down a lot of the day. So move whenever you can. And I mean whenever you can. Like for me, I always walk up the stairs when I can.
Yeah.
Even if I'm on the tube and there's a lot of times on the tube there's
the escalators, yeah.
Well, I'll walk up the escalators, but if there's stairs in the middle, I'll walk. And everyone will be looking at me like I'm a fucking weirdo. Like, why is this guy walking up here?
Yeah.
But like, you're the fucking mugs.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be burning calories here. You could be moving. Stop going for the easy option. A good analogy for life. Maybe a good place to wrap up the podcast as we're going on. But yeah, man, I just think mental, physical needs to be balanced. Everything needs to be balanced.
Yeah.
And when it is, everything runs better.
For sure, I agree. Nice, bruv.
Okay. Another one in the can.
Another one in the can. So we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.